Hello, I'm Tim Schutte, Product and Application Specialist for Epiroc. Today we're going to show you how to install a drum cutter on a carrier. The drum cutters come just like it is shown here on a very sturdy pallet. I would save the pallet so when you're not using the drum cutter you have something to store the drum cutter on, away from the material and away from wetness and mud, whatever's on your job site. What comes with the drum cutter is a top bracket. It's already installed. You order the top bracket per the carrier. It has 3 hoses coming out of the drum cutter. We have a case drain line, which is this one. This is a JIC 12 fitting on this size drum cutter. Return line, JIC 16, and it also has a check valve on it. The power line is also a JIC 16. And what other items come with the drum cutter are a set of pick removal tools, pressure plate, O-ring, and bolts, manuals and a parts manual, and a how-to and do's and don'ts of how to use the drum cutter. Case drain line, again it's a 12 JIC fitting. This case drain line goes from the drum cutter at the bottom of the stick all the way up to the hydraulic filter that we will install later. The hydraulic filter and housing that we mount on the excavator, and a pigtail hydraulic hose that goes from the filter to the hydraulic tank. All our drum cutters require the case drain, filter, and to the hydraulics tank. The flow meter testing should be mandatory when you're hooking up the drum cutter to make sure it is going to operate properly for you and do the job well. There are different settings for different drum cutters. The one that we're going to use today is a VC 2000. The gallons per minute that we're going to require is 79, and the PSI produced by the machine is set at 5,000. Right now we have lowered the stick down so I can work off the ground instead of a ladder. You locate your check valves. This is the return side. It's identical to the power side or pressure side on the other side of the stick. What you want to do is make sure your valve is off. You take this off, have a bucket here, and let the flow come down to make sure there's no hydraulic fluid that's going to get on the ground. We have already pre-done that. So all I'm going to do is hook up a 45 angle to hook up the pressure hose to the flow meter. Excuse me. Right now, as I'm doing this is a JIC fitting 20 coming off the excavator. So what we want to do is when you hook up the drum cutter has a JIC 16 on it. So you'll have to get a reducer from a 20 to a JIC 16 when you hook up the drum cutter. For right now, we're just hooking this up for the flow test. I have my line here that I'm going to hook up to the 45. We have now connected our hoses to the flow meter for the flow testing. We're using, just so you know, a FlowTech meter. We have up here on the top is the return line. On the side here is the pressure line. We adjust it when we do the testing with this knob here on the side to find out what gallons per minute we are doing at what PSI. We've gone around and tightened everything, even on the valve box, and we have turned on the flow. So now we are ready to start the excavator and start the flow test. In using the flow meter, I wanted to point out a couple things. On this side, this will read your PSI, and we have this switched over so the digital display will give us our gallons per minute. There is a handover certificate in the operator's manual that comes with the drum cutter when it's new for installation. What we require, there's a bunch of slots to fill in: serial number, location, the model number of the carrier. It gives you a detail. Just fill in the lines as you see, and when you get down to the flow meter test, It starts out at 2300 psi, and then we mark down what the gallons per minute is, and we do that in certain increments all the way up to 5,000. It has spaces in the certificate, so you can just handwrite them in, and you want to turn that in because that starts your warranty and covers you under the warranty program. One thing I'd like to mention, in all our drum cutters, we like to get to 2900 psi and have the respected gallons per minute for that drum cutter. Like I said, when I get this to 2900 psi, I want this to read around 79 gallons per minute. As you notice, when we were running the flow test meter, I got it to 2900 psi, and the meter read 76.7, so it's close to 77 gallons per minute. I wanted 79, but that's close enough right there to be a proper running machine for the drum cutter. You can usually go 5 above or 5 below on the gallons per minute, and you're in the safe zone. The pressure, that's how we make our cutting force on our drum cutters. The gallons per minute, why it's so important to get as close as you can, that controls your rotation. So when those numbers are both set up properly, you're going to have a great operating machine and a very efficient job cutting to be accomplished. Now what we are showing you, if you were using our case drain line and filter housing and filter, and the pigtail going to the tank, we're going to show you that the hydraulic hose goes up the stick and boom, comes out right by the engine compartment. Everything's taken off. You locate an area where you can mount your filter in a safe area where none of the movement from the excavator can damage it. Then you take the pigtail after you mount your filter, take the pigtail and move it over and mount it into your hydraulic tank. Thank you for watching this video. Always refer to your operator's manual and safety manual, or you can contact the Epiroc Service Center or your local dealer.